Holy it's stuck. Is the scalp still there? Open it up.
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
What is that?
I think it's the hair roots.
What is that?
It's like a nest.
It is a nest. Hold on, hold it. Oh, good God. Something made its...
Look. Those are maggots.
What the f?
That's why they left the hat.
Like this is like
What is it? What does it feel like?
crunchy.
Describe it.
What is that? Those are nest of bugs.
They're nests. There's
Those
bugs
are bugs.
inside. Look at them inside.
Look on my hand.
Crack one open. No, you know what this is? These are flesh-eating bugs. That is a nest. See? It's a nest of
Listen.
maggots.
Yo, Strawberry Squad, we are in a super bad situation right now. We're stuck in this pharmacy and there's zombies everywhere and we're in this zombie apocalypse right now, guys. Look at this. What the hell is going on? Oh my god, guys. What the freaking heck?
This is one of the strangest copycat crimes you will ever hear about. After the 9/11 terrorist attacks in New York City, there was a genuine concern that people would try to copy this attack, and although there were some attempts, most of these people were caught before they did anything. However, there was somebody who successfully stole a plane and flew it into a tower in America. This person was 15-year-old Charles J. Bishop. At the time, he was a student pilot, and on the 5th of January 2002, his instructor left him alone in the plane to do the pre-flight inspection. During this time, Bishop took flight without permission and headed straight towards the Bank of America Tower in Tampa, Florida. He crashed directly into it and was killed in the process. Luckily, there were no other fatalities. Initially, officials ruled out terrorism, but inside the wreckage of the plane, they found a note written by Charles where he voiced support for Osama bin Laden and the 9/11 attacks. He also stated that he was doing this on behalf of Al-Qaeda. All of these insane facts are the reason that
On a sweltering summer evening in Norcross, Georgia, 16-year-old Susana Morales disappeared without a trace. It was July 26, 2022, and Susana was on her way home after a visit to a friend just a few blocks away. Although it was nearly 10 p.m. and pitch dark at the time, her family wasn't too concerned. Norcross was a safe and tight-knit community, and her friend lived less than half a mile from their home, which meant that it would have taken Susana only 10 minutes to complete the journey down the well-lit road. At approximately 9:40 p.m., Susana Morales called her mom to let her know that she was about to embark on her short journey home, and that they should be expecting her in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Susana, however, never made it home that evening. As the minutes turned into hours, and her family's attempts to reach her continued to go unanswered, their concerns only grew. This was out of character for their usually responsible daughter, so when they couldn't track her down, they immediately went to their local police station to report her missing. But here is where the story would take another heartbreaking turn. The officers on duty incorrectly told the Morales family that they needed to wait 48 hours before reporting Susana missing, because teenagers had a habit of staying out late or running off with friends. So they told her mom that she needed to wait a bit because her daughter would most probably show up later. Despite what the police were telling them, the Morales family knew that something wasn't right. They knew their daughter was responsible and reliable, and the idea that she had vanished of her own accord made no sense. So without any help from the police, her family took matters into their own hands and embarked on their own frantic search in trying to uncover as much information as possible, knowing that the first 48 hours were crucial in such cases. Through tracking her phone and retracing her steps, the Morales family was able to find security footage that showed Susana just 1 minute from her home before she seemed to vanish into thin air. The discovery of the footage was a breakthrough for the Morales family, and yet it only deepened the mystery surrounding Susana's disappearance. This footage was evidence to the Morales family that Susana was indeed on her way home before something sinister must have happened. But what exactly happened was what the family needed to find out. The family went back to the police station to hand them the evidence they managed to uncover. Yet despite the mounting evidence, the Morales family found themselves met with resistance from the very authorities charged with protecting their community. It took nearly a month for the police to acknowledge that Susana was not a runaway, but rather a missing person, and their sluggish response derailed the investigation from the outset. In February 2023, after 7 long months of searching, the body of Susana Morales was sadly found. Her skeletal remains were discovered in a wooded area of Gwinnett County, near the Barrow County line. As the investigation unfolded, the truth behind Susana's disappearance began to emerge, and it seems that the killer was one of their very own, 22-year-old Georgia officer Miles Bryant. This is the horrifying true crime story of Susana Morales.
Today's case is one of these cases that you'll most likely recognise like the famous mugshot from. So this here is 18-year-old Shaylin Moran. At the time of what she did, she was 18 years old, and this takes place in 2019. She was from a place called Pawtucket, which is in America, and in the fall of October 2019, she met a boy online who she started a relationship with. This boy was called Leonard Trowfield, and I couldn't find any photos of him for some reason. On the first day that they met in person, the pair stayed at Leonard's house. However, after day 4, the pair got into quite the argument, where Shaylin had stormed out of the house and filed a police report against Leonard. And she had called assault, which Leonard absolutely denied was not true. The pair were then given a no-contact order. And the reason why I'm kind of leaning to believe Leonard is, I'll tell you why. So obviously when you're given a no-contact order, you cannot contact that person. But this didn't bother Shaylin. She was sending death threats to absolutely all of his family, including his dog. So after the breakup, she then very quickly met Jack Doherty. And together they had conspired that they were going to kill Shaylin's ex. And Jack was absolutely down for that. He was so ready to do it. They were sending each other texts like, if you do this, we'll be together forever, I love you, and all that. And at the end of December 2019, so we're literally talking 2 months later, Jack came down from New York to see Shaylin. Not only this, he also brought an engagement ring with him, and the pair were ready to go to her ex's house to commit a shooting. So Shaylin had actually stayed in a hotel nearby where the pair were staying. She didn't go with him, and they decided that they were just going to shoot whoever opened the door. So on January 1st, 2020, Jack Doherty went to the address of Leonard, and it was his mother, Cheryl Smith, that opened the door, and she was shot several times, which killed her. Another strange thing that I just want to know, I couldn't find many photos of Cheryl either. To which, after it took place, they then posted this on Facebook, which says, "We some fighters and some shooters." And she's also showing off her engagement ring in the post. Luckily, a detective that was responding to the shooting had saw this post that these two had posted. So literally just a couple hours later, they were arrested in the hotel room, which I just think is kind of funny, to be honest. Like, how stupid do you have to be? And the cops found the gun that was used in the shooting that matched the bullets found in Cheryl. Jack Doherty is still in prison awaiting trial, but because Shaylin was really the mastermind behind it, she knew what she was doing. She was sentenced to life in prison for her part on killing Cheryl Smith.
This schoolboy stabbed his teacher to death in front of a classroom full of students. 61-year-old Anne Maguire was a Spanish teacher teaching in Leeds. She'd actually worked at the school for 40 years and she was only 5 months off retirement. However, in April 2014, something absolutely horrific happened. One of her students was 15-year-old Will Cornick. He'd always been described as a smart student who never really caused any trouble. Classmates regarded him as a polite student, but after he got diagnosed with diabetes, his personality seemed to change. In 2013, he tried to join the army, but because of his diagnosis, he was rejected. Being in the army had been his dream, so this was really upsetting for him. After failing to complete his Spanish homework, he was given detention by Anne. He also expressed a wish to her that he wanted to drop Spanish, but she wouldn't let him, which only angered him more. He began to develop a deep-rooted grudge against Anne. Shockingly, he reportedly messaged his friends on Facebook asking if one of them would kill her for him for £10. During one school day, halfway through his Spanish class, Will decided to get up and attack Anne with a knife. The classmates watched on in horror as he chased her out of the classroom. When there, another teacher heard her screams and tried to shield Anne from any more blows from him. Will then allegedly returned to his class and told his classmates how it was a shame that he hadn't killed her. However, Anne did actually pass away from her injuries. Will later admitted that he did plan also to kill 2 other teachers. One of them was actually pregnant at the time. He's been sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 20 years.
Five Nights at Freddy's is actually based off of a real crime that took place in a Chuck E. Cheese in 1983. One night in 1983, right before close, a 19-year-old man snuck and hid into the bathroom until he knew the doors were locked. There were 5 staff members on that night, 1 manager that was in her office, 2 crew members that were in the kitchen cleaning, and 2 crew members that were in the party room cleaning. Once he knew the doors were locked, then he started his spree, where he walked into the party room unaliving those 2 staff members, then making his way into the kitchen to do the same. While all of this unfolded, the manager is watching this on the security cameras. Before she was able to do anything though, he was already in the office, forcing her to open the safe, then unaliving her as well. He was then apprehended by the police and sentenced to death, but his sentencing is still on hold to this day.